Around 2,100 years ago, in the beautiful and magnificent modern-day countries of northern Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize, and southern Mexico, lived and thrived an old civilization called the Meso or Middle American civilization. It had crazy rituals, awesome art, and long-lasting architecture. And actually, it lasted for more than 3,000 years. Now, for you to know more about the past of the Middle America, here are 12 fascinating facts about this civilization. But before we proceed, do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more amazing videos.
Fact number 12. Rubber people worship the hybrid human-jaguar god. The Rubber people, also known as the Olmec, were the first people and culture to arise in Mexico and Central America. They were religious and contact with their gods was an important part of their daily life. In fact, they had multiple gods, including their supernatural jaguar god, a deity associated with rain and fertility, according to archaeologist Peter Joralemon. For them, the jaguar represented strength, fury, bravery, and he was their personification of war and aggression. Aside from it, they also worshiped the dragon, bird monster, fish monster, banded eye god, water god, maize god, and the feathered serpent.
Fact number 11. Meso-America had one mother culture. The Olmec civilization was one of the most influential ancient civilizations of the early Americas. And though its dominance of the region faded in the last centuries before the Common Era, the Olmec civilization is commonly thought to be the mother culture of many other cultures that appeared in the region in later years. These cultures, such as the Maya, Zapotec, Totonac, and Teotihuacan civilizations, have unique art, architecture, and cultures that separate them from each other. But many historians trace all of these cultures back to their shared Olmec heritage.
Number 10. Zapotecs had a different version of Darwin's theory of evolution. After the Olmec civilization, the Zapotec civilization emerged. The Zapotecs dwelt in the southern highlands of central Mesoamerica, specifically in the valley of Oaxaca, and they had a number of creation myths that generate stories about their origin. According to one of the most popular ones, they were born from rocks from Oaxaca Valley, and this made them the original inhabitants of the valley. On the other hand, while Charles Darwin believed that humans and monkeys came from a common ancestor, the Zapotec had another myth where they believed that they were the descendants of animals such as the jaguar and the ocelot, which inhabited the valley. Last but not the least, there is yet another myth that says that the Zapotecs were the descendants of supernatural beings living among the clouds. Their elite also seemed to believe that they would return to the clouds after their death. It is due to this very belief that the Zapotecs are also known as the Cloud People.
Number 9. Chocolate originated from the Maya. The ancient Maya who lived after the Olmec were the first to discover the many uses of the cacao bean between 250 and 980. They mix the cacao bean with pepper and cornmeal to make a fairy chocolate drink. Sugar was rare in those days, which was a blessing considering there was no dental care to speak of. Although it sounds as delicious as modern derivatives, it would not really be recognizable to us today. The word chocolate is said to come from the Mayan word soclital, which means bitter water, which pretty much explains itself. Unsurprisingly, to us today, the Mayans thought so highly of chocolate that they believed it was a form of food of the gods. It is not uncommon to find images of cacao pods painted on walls of stone, temples, and other Mayan artifacts, often showing their gods imbibing it.
Number 8. The Maya had their own Batman. Bats are considered to be menacing creatures in many cultures. They are nocturnal and thus associated with the night, which is also often associated with death. Thus, in the Maya culture, the bat god Kamazots is linked to death. Kamazots is also the name of monstrous creature which inhabited a cave called the House of Bats in the Popol Vuh. Most scholars believe that Kamazots was inspired by the common vampire bat, but others have suggested that it was based on the giant vampire bat that probably went extinct sometime during the Pleistocene or Holocene periods.
Number 7. The Maya used psychedelics to communicate with their gods. The Maya and the indigenous people of Mexico and Central America had access to hallucinogenic substances called entheogens, a form of psychedelics which were used to provoke an altered state of consciousness during spiritual rituals and ceremonies. The purpose of these substances was to reach a state of temporal and spatial disorientation, bringing the user a sense of inner peace and in one with nature and the gods. Entheogen used during Maya ceremonies would often be held underground or in caves. These were considered sacred access points to the underworld and were thought to intensify the inner vision, providing a favorable setting for contact with the spirit world.
Number 6. Women actively participated in politics and religion. Maya women participated in government, politics, economics, and farming. They helped ready their men for battle, although women were not warriors themselves. They played an active part in Maya religion and were responsible for the care of domestic shrines. Women could get a divorce and return home if her father would allow her to do so. Divorce was easy in the Maya world, but women of childbearing years were not allowed to stay single. Marriages were arranged, and a new husband would be found for her, like it or not.
Number 5. The Maya had a different beauty standard. In classic Maya society, the head was the center of a person's identity and the animating force that defined them. But unlike the present time, the Maya considered crossed eyes, flat foreheads, and big noses to be beautiful features. In some areas, they would use makeup to try and make their noses appear large. Also, they loved to wear large hats and headdresses. The more important the person, the taller the hat they wore.
Number 4. The Maya believe in magic and they use aluxes. Aluxes are tiny Maya sculptures made from clay or wood. The Maya believe in magic and these aluxes were thought to protect people, lands, crops, and animals. The aluxes were taken deep into the forest where they were placed in hidden spots, and it was said that they would come to life during the night to protect the land. They performed the alux ritual by sacrificing 9 drops of the owner's blood and offering up prayers. After several years of protection, the aluxes had to be set free or they would harm the owner's family. These beliefs were passed down through the generations.
Fact number 3. Great warriors arose after the Maya. After the civilization of the Maya, the ancient Toltec and their culture dominated the present-day central Mexico from their capital city of Tulan or Tula. The Toltecs were religious and great warriors who spread the cult of their god Quetzalcoatl to all corners of their empire. The warriors were organized into orders representing animals such as jaguars and gods including Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca. Toltec warriors wore headdresses, chest plates, and padded armor, and carried a small shield on one arm. They were armed with short swords or atlatls, a weapon designed to throw darts at high velocity, and a heavy curved bladed weapon that was a cross between a club and an axe.
Fact number 2. The Aztecs developed a complex form of slavery. The Aztec civilization is known for being the last of the great Meso-American cultures before the Europeans arrived. Interestingly, unlike the more traditional forms of slavery seen the world over, the Aztecs developed a kind of indentured slavery whereby slaves could, in fact, earn enough money to buy themselves freedom. What's more, slavery was used as a kind of currency. Aztecs would sell themselves into slavery to pay off debts, and would even sell their children for a predetermined number of years. In Aztec culture, slaves were allowed to marry, have children, and earn some money and even own land.
Number 1. Human sacrifices are a significant part of the Mesoamerican civilization. Human sacrifice occupied a particularly important place in Mesoamerica. Many of the region's cultures, including the Maya and the Mexico, believed that human sacrifice nourished the gods. Without it, the sun would cease to rise and the world would end. In fact, Aztec priests using razor-sharp obsidian blades sliced open the chests of sacrificial victims and offered their still beating hearts to the gods. They then tossed the victims' lifeless bodies down the steps of the towering Templo Mayor. Priests carried the body to another ritual space where they laid it face up. Armed with years of practice, detailed anatomical knowledge, and obsidian blades sharper than today's surgical steel, they made an incision in the thin space between two vertebrae in the neck, expertly decapitating the body. Using their sharp blades, the priests deftly cut away the skin and muscles of the face, reducing it to a skull. They then carved large holes in both sides of the skull and slipped it onto a thick wooden post that held other skulls prepared in precisely the same way. The skulls were bound for Tenochtitlan's Chompantli, an enormous rock of skulls built in front of the Templo Mayor, a pyramid with two temples on top. One was dedicated to the war god Huitzilopochtli and the other to the rain god Tlaloc. The fall of the Mesoamerican civilization happened in 1521 when the Aztec, who were the last native Mesoamerican empire, fell to the hands of the Spaniards, led by Hernan Cortez. How about you? Do you know some facts about other civilizations? Stay tuned for more interesting historical videos. Thanks for watching. Bye!